Station, Boston, in the heart of Boston. The station was built in 1899. It was a much larger structure when it was built. But come around the late 60s, automobile traffic siphoned off a lot of traffic through here. It came here in 1970 once, and it was a big empty room. Water dripping all over, a lot of wasted space. Only a few tracks in service. Trains to New York from here were few and far between. Commuter rail was minuscule at the time. But thanks to Amtrak and the Big Dig and MBTA, this place is bustling again. A lot of commuter rail and intercity service. You can see how busy this place is looking at the train departure board. And that's only a small portion of the day's trains that run out of here. We're right on Dewey Square, and here's the exterior of South Station. Grand building. Used to be a much larger building, much wider, but it's shrunk in width, but it's still very imposing. This is Admiral Dewey Square. It's larger than the financial district of downtown Boston. Boston is a great city. Love this town. A lot to do, a lot of history. It's a very compact, walkable city. A lot of old buildings, historic buildings. Fenway Park is a classic baseball stadium in the Back Bay section. But one of the things about Boston that make it a charming place, in addition to all of those things, is the Boston accent. Boston accent is probably the most distinct anywhere in any big city in the country. I was introduced to the Boston accent at a very young age. Growing up on Long Island, 9th grade, general science. I had a teacher by the name of Mr. Stott. Taught us general science and chemistry. First time I ever heard a Boston accent. First time any of us from Long Island, young kids, heard it. Never forget when he came into the room, he would always, well, his famous quote, he said, "Oh," he always said that, "Oh," before he said a sentence. Want you to know, the human being is nothing but a pile of dirt. He's worth about $1.40 toe. We didn't know what the hell he was talking about. And he would also say things like, "What's the formula for carbon dioxide?" "It's CO2. Like, huh? You know, of course, with chemistry, you have to learn the elements, the periodic table of the elements. You come in and say, "Oh, take out your periodic charts." And we're like, what the hell is he talking about? But we got used to him, and he was actually a fine teacher in our school district. He taught for decades. He retired from the school district. He was probably one of my favorite teachers in high school. Great guy, great sense of humor. Mr. Mark Stott. We used to call him Mac Stott. Doing a little rail fanning at South Station, where I catch a train, or where I came from almost, Canton Junction. And, jeez, this is all I see around here. These HSP 46. MBTA has 40 of them. That's 40 too many as far as I'm concerned. They've had all kinds of problems with these engines. The only thing good about it is the paint scheme. But I'll take the paint scheme on an F40 any day over this. You name it, they've had problems. Oil leaks, traction motor failures, wheel slipping, turbocharger fires. Oh my God. Lots of problems. Lots of problems. a.m. This guy's headed out to Reedville on the Fairmount line. "11:05 a.m. He's off on his long journey to Washington. What should be a quick journey. That was train 2163 for DC. Now you can, looking south, you can see the throat of South Station. Where I'm standing is where old Tower 1 used to be. Kind of fast and furious here. These double-deckers are unusual. The seats face the center, and they're very heavy cars. They wore out a lot of rail, and they had to replace the rail with heavier rail for these cars. Monsters. To me, they look like Garfield the cat. Comes another one. Double-decker cab car. Ah, I like what's on the back of this guy. And 11:15, here goes train 173 for Washington. 12:55, we're at a famous train watching spot. I went by here a little while ago. Canton Junction. This train 813 for Providence takes off with another one of those pooches. They actually make an interesting sound when they take off. Kind of reminds me of the U-34CHs. Well, that figures because they're built with GE parts. What the conductor was telling me, it's largely GE junk. And you're looking at the station building here at Canton Junction, which was built by the Old Colony Railroad in 1892. This station has been reconfigured. It used to be 2 tracks with the Stoughton branch branching off just to the south. And that station was located right where that platform is in the foreground. The junction has been moved further north, and the station was moved further east to accommodate the realignment of the Stoughton branch. At high noon, here comes train 818 en route from Providence to Boston. And this guy's got something good on the back. Now that's a locomotive. One of the rebuilts. F40PH-3C. Looks mighty special in that purple tuxedo. It's a gorgeous day up here in the Boston
Train
area.
approaching. Please
Low
remain
70s,
behind yellow
clear.
line.
We've had a lot of weather like this month. It's great. Canton Junction provides voice warnings here. The male voice, which tells you a train is approaching.
May 31st, the Newburyport/Rockport.
And that voice. It's nice enough to tell you when the train is coming and what the train number is, but it's that irritating, motionless, stoic, indifferent Roku voice. If you've ever had to program your Roku device, you have to hear that voice. Approaching at 12:34 is train 873 en route from Boston to Stoughton, with another one of those goofy engines. Stops way down. Stoughton branch years ago used to go down to New Bedford and Fall River. And approaching.
Train approaching. Please remain behind yellow line.
You gotta love those if you want to set up for a shot. Approaching now at 12:50 is train 815 from Boston
Train approaching. Please remain behind yellow line.
from Boston to Wickford Junction, Rhode Island, south of Providence. Wickford Junction is noteworthy.
Train approaching. Please remain behind yellow line.
Trains used to have speed surveys, Trains magazines, and they mention individual railroads and certain places where the trains went fast. For the New Haven, Wickford Junction was always mentioned. Indeed, today, the Amtrak regionals do 125 and the Acela Expresses do 150 through there. Next stop, Sharon. Those engines were built by Motor Power Industries, but with GE innards to meet the Tier 4 emission standards, and EMD couldn't quite cut it at the time when those were built, unfortunately. Train 820 from Wickford Junction to Boston. Get to see those engines too often, so what the hell, came all the way up here, might as well shoot them. I know a lot of people who really would like to shoot them with lead and cannonballs and napalm. We got a nice treat at Canton Junction coming off the Stoughton branch at 116, number 6222 from CSX Jeep 40-2. This local is stopped, got a red signal. This was formerly Baltimore and Ohio 4123, built in 1979. Purrs like a kitten. He's waiting for a Stoughton-Boston train to get ahead of him. The engineer was nice enough to warn me of a fast approaching Acela. The Acela came by. There were two things wrong there. The warning system on the Boston-bound platform isn't working, so they sneak up on you. Doing 120-something miles an hour, you don't have a lot of time to react. Plus, I got a telephone call at the same time. Should have put it on airplane mode. And here comes 874 from Stoughton to Boston at 1:30. Those cars are a lot heavier than Long Island Railroad C3s. Here comes 875 from Boston to Stoughton at 135. They're everywhere, these things. Those cars come from all builders. Hyundai rode them, Bombardier, some Japanese cars too, I think. And approaching Providence bound at 145 is train 817. And that LED light means only one thing. With a purple front, one of those F40PH-3C tuxedos. Looking great. That paint scheme on those units ranks right up there with the Santa Fe War Bonnet and the Kansas City Southern Bells as one of the great paint schemes in railroading. Boston bound at 2 o'clock. Those two cars are tired. That was train 822 from Providence to Boston. The paint scheme on the HSP 46s they don't handle exhausts very well. Those things are very dirty from exhaust, but on an F40 they're spotless, no matter how long they've been running. All right, at 2:09 p.m. here comes the first of two lightning bolts through Canton Junction. This is Amtrak 137 en route from Boston to Washington, D.C. You should be doing the limit through here, which is about 125.
Train approaching. Please remain behind yellow line.
You're damn right. His next stop will be Providence.
Train approaching.
He left Boston at 150.
Train approaching.
About another 10 minutes, you'll have 2169, the Acela Express from Boston to Washington. All right, this guy might be a little bit faster.
Please remain behind
217, 2169, Acela Express from Boston to Washington.
Train approaching. Please remain behind yellow line.
On this side, you can see them coming for quite a ways.
Train approaching. Please remain behind yellow line.
Instant air conditioning. we got off at a commuter rail hotspot, Ruggles station. Just south of Back Bay, you can see the Boston skyline in the distance. On the left, you can see the Prudential Tower, and on the right, the tall building is the John Hancock Tower, 790 feet. And he's headed for Back Bay, that's his next stop. This platform I'm standing on was built in the last couple of years. It was missing for so long. This is the Back Bay South Station side. But on this platform you get an excellent vantage point of the Back Bay skyline. Here you get a nice clear vantage point of the Orange Line subway. Those Thunder Bay built cars. Should be train 717 to Walpole. On this platform, the engines stop right next to you. And he'll go off the Northeast Corridor at Reedville, transfer, and he'll head off down the old New Haven Hartford Secondary. And that was a train bound for Needham Heights. Needham Heights branch is a short branch. It branches off the corridor at Forest Hill Station. At 3:03, I had a meeting of Stoughton trains. Train departing was bound for Stoughton, and the train inbound to Boston from Stoughton before that. I love this station. The engines stop right at the end of the platform. You can stand next to them. Hope to see some F40s here before long. And 312, here comes 172 from Washington to Boston. Get ready to come into Back Bay Station. And he's just about on time. He'll be in Back Bay in about 2 or 3 minutes. And approaching at 3:27 p.m. Just started up out of the Back Bay station. He'll be accelerating through here. Train 175 en route from Boston to Washington, D.C. We'll be accelerating to 110 miles an hour. Those things do make a lot of noise. Had a seller that went by was 2158 en route from Washington to Boston. He was a few minutes early. All right, approaching at 3:53 p.m. is train 719, bound for Forge Park. Forge Park is built on a spur just after Franklin. Franklin's on the old main line to Blackstone, Willimantic, and Hartford. Forge Park serves Interstate 495. And here we have an F40PH-3C. A barrage of outbound trains will be coming after this, and hopefully we'll get a few more of those. Lovely lady, and there was a lovely lady at the throttle too. And we're at the north end of the platform at Ruggles, and we're looking at one of Boston's numerous colleges. And 423 is running a little bit late out of Back Bay Station. Acela Express train 2173 bound for New York. He'll be in New York at 8 o'clock. He departed South Station at 4:15. And he's rapidly accelerating. Back Bay Station now. I'm going to catch my train home to New York from here at 5:40. Back Bay is a station in a part of Boston that's very swanky. There's a lot of restaurants, shops, great place to be. Back in the mid-1800s, this was all underwater. Since my last visit here 2 years ago, they fixed up Back Bay Station a bit. They painted the wall a purple and white. Originally it was sort of a brownish brick color. Looks a lot better. Little Back Bay Station history here. I remember this facility before the Southwest Corridor project was initiated. Then this was torn down and this current station was built. Subterranean, one of Boston's more asphyxiated stations. There's a tunnel just west of here, and the locomotives stop in the tunnel, and there's supposedly fans in the tunnel that ventilate the smoke, but it doesn't do a complete job of it. One of my more memorable visits to Back Bay Station was in the summer of '72. I took a train here from New York via Springfield. Wanted to ride the old B&A. The train was late. When I got here, I had all of 6 minutes to catch my train back to New York. And coming in at 4:57 is a train for Wickford Junction. I swear I am gonna blow a gasket if I see another HSP 46. Too much. Probably the creepiest train station in Boston. I call it the Purple Junction or the Purple Catacombs. This is on the Boston and Albany line, served by trains to and from Worcester. The Lakeshore Limited to Albany and Chicago passes through here too. Yeah, westbound trains pull out of here and they pull into the darkness. Approaching at 5:10 is train 525 for Worcester, with another one of those damn HSPs. See the flames on the car reflection? Where did that come from? Right here. This is the colored brick that was on the Amtrak side of the Back Bay Station. Since my last visit here 2 years ago, they put a coat of white and purple paint over it. Well, arriving at 5:22 is train 524. Going 524 from Worcester to Boston. I think my stomach fell out.